We shall now take a look at some sociocultural related issues. And in doing so, we will look at the reform opportunities that these sociocultural related issues provide to us. The first one is develop teacher training programs to focus on the constitutional rights of religious minorities, critical thinking, and the importance of promoting tolerance for diversity in classroom pedagogy, which simply means that in our teacher training programs, yes, we do a lot of content training, we do a lot of skills training, but we also need to include training that incorporates, that integrates the religious minorities sitting in our classrooms today. Yes, we don't have religious minorities in every single classroom because they are a minority. But in classrooms that we have them, how is a teacher supposed to know what I'm supposed to do with this child? What are the constitutional rights of these minority children? The Constitution clearly guarantees minorities their rights. And so if we included these kinds of concepts in teacher training programs, made teachers aware and prepared of how to deal with these issues, I think we would see a much more balanced, tolerant society, at least beginning in our younger generations. 2 is initiate interfaith dialogue and joint academic and extracurricular activities with faculty and students of other religions where possible. This is, get the mixture, where you have the mixture, where you have Muslims and Christians and Hindus and Sikhs and Parsis and all that, bring them together. Not only just in classrooms, bring them together on the sports field, bring them together on the grounds. Do whatever it takes to bring the minorities and the majority population together so that when they mix in constructive, healthy activities, they will learn to tolerate each other and live in a more harmonious manner. Make the course Ethics for Non-Muslims compulsory for all students. Ethics, as I said earlier also, ethics among the different religions is all the same. More or less, 99% ethics is the same. All religions teach good. All religions teach young people to be honest. All religions teach young people to respect, and so on and so forth. So if we had this ethics course for non-Muslims, let it be open to all students. That is what we should be teaching in our schools, so that people see the similarities among the minorities and the majorities and learn then to live with the differences that definitely also exist. Develop public-private partnerships with diverse religious representation to enhance public school physical infrastructure and to increase cooperation. Yes, the government may not have all the funds, it may not have all the money to build more schools. How is that going to be possible? We will have to do a public-private partnership. And when public-private partnerships come about, I think that's a great way to show tolerance. Because the way public individuals think, government individuals think, is not the way private individuals think. And a lot of private individuals may actually come from the minority areas because of qualifications, training, experience, and so on. How do you get these two factors coming together and working together for the common good of our young people? 5 is encourage and make public curricular reforms with a particular focus on religious tolerance and modernizing textbooks. Unless we begin with the textbook, because that's the first printing thing really that many of our students see, especially in government schools. If we had stories and descriptions a bit on minority issues, if we had graphics and pictures even of our minority people that have honestly contributed to the progress of this nation, to the peace and harmony of this nation in different spheres, in many different spheres. If we looked, there are lots of minority contributions: education, health, business, private, public sector cooperation, all sorts, army, the armed forces even, the police. Minorities do exist, and they have contributed successfully to the growth, development, and progress of this nation. That needs to be highlighted, and what better place to highlight it than in our textbooks? This refers to the education opportunities of socioculturally disadvantaged groups. Now, in our context, one socioeconomically disadvantaged or socioculturally disadvantaged group is, of course, our female population, our girl students. The second certainly is our minorities, but then there are many others. Lack of economic standing, socioeconomic backgrounds, family backgrounds, education, all this makes a difference. And all these, most of these actually come from ethnic minority backgrounds. So minorities in certain respects and their education opportunities. How do we provide even these minorities with opportunities for education, for opportunities to better life for themselves, and in turn to better life for the future of this nation? These are limited by sociocultural perceptions of women that are unfavorable for them to receive education. Again, if a young female student today wants to do physics, even today, the people at home, even the teachers in school will say, "Are you mad? You want to do physics? You can't become an engineer or an aeronautical superstar. You just can't." Why not? The question is that mindset, the stereotyping has to change. Unless the stereotyping changes and unless our women are provided with opportunities to pursue what they want to do with their lives, things will not change dramatically for the better. There can be many types of minorities within a society, including those defined in economic terms. Of course, there are the rich, the people that have, and there are the people that don't have, people who live below the poverty line. So there are income poor, that's a minority group. Political terms, there are dissidents, people who don't go with your ideology or your philosophy to politics, they are a minority. Cultural terms, subcultural group, and in our case, provincial terms, we are Punjabis, and that's a Sindhi, and that's a Pashtun, and this is a Balochi, and so on and so forth. So all these, even within Pakistan, depending on where you are, you may be a minority, because minorities can be classified very differently. There can be many types of minorities within a society, again continuing, including language. Those that speak your language and those that don't. And today, especially in the urban setting, if you speak good English, you tend to be looked at differently than if you did not speak good English. So if you don't speak good English, you would be considered a minority also. So what language? Should there be this language barrier in determining who is good and who is not? Ethnicity, and that's the ethnic minority. Your beliefs, again, there are different factions among the Muslims, there are different factions among the Christians, and so on. Just because we have slightly differing beliefs and ideas makes us into a minority population. Sometimes the minority can be the majority in terms of number. For example, the income poor. We saw earlier that there were lots of people living below the poverty line. People enjoying good socioeconomic status are a handful in this nation. The bulk of our population is at the poverty or below the poverty line. So that actually is the majority. But because the privileged class has it all and they have more say in what they do, even this majority is actually seen as a minority, and that does not help. Institutional and sociocultural issues have major implications for project success and/or failure. School attendance and life chances for the disadvantaged are strongly affected by sociocultural perceptions. What do people think of females in society? What do people think of religious minorities? What do people think of people who live below the poverty line? These perceptions will change the way success or failure affects individuals. The school attendance of females may be hindered by sociocultural perceptions that, should a choice have to be made, boys should receive priority in going to school. If a family can't afford it, if there are 4 sisters and 2 brothers, the chances that the 2 brothers make it to school are higher than even one of the sisters making it to school. So those kinds of things need to be addressed, and those kinds of things need to be changed as well. This is most clear in tertiary enrollments, since education at this level demands more private financial contributions, and in rural enrollments where girls are seen as ready laborers. Tertiary education is university education, bachelor's, master's, and beyond. This level of education is not cheap, has a lot of financial implications. So if I have 6 children and 2 are boys, chances that those 2 are getting to a university are higher than any of my girls getting to a university. Is that fair? Should that happen? Should university education also be free? Should all public education be free? A lot of these types of considerations will have to be made at the policy level by government officials if we are to make sure that all our children receive a good quality primary, secondary, post-secondary, and tertiary education.